We're going to talk about Pittsburgh, the Pitt Panthers, the mortal enemies of West Virginia. Tell us about how their season went, Street.
Pittsburgh's an interesting case because just on paper, you look at last year, they were 3-9, really bad. You look at this year and see 7-6. Well, that's an improvement. They must have been a good team. But then you dig into what happened to Pittsburgh this season, and you find out that this 7-6 season may have just been as bad or worse than that 3-9 season was. Pat Narduzzi is 10th year. Pittsburgh, gosh, he's been there a long time. This season started off, and it couldn't be any better. They got off to a 7-0 start, and they were number 18 in the country.
Yeah, I feel like this is a theme in the ACC. I've said this about a couple teams tonight, but after that 7-0 start, they become the team of, oh, look out for them.
Right.
Play them. They might get you, but was not to be for it.
Yeah, I mean, part of that 7-0 start was their play at quarterback. Eli Holstein, who was a freshman who had transferred from Alabama because he wasn't going to get to start at Alabama, which I don't know why, because he probably would have been better than Jalen Milroe, but that's another point. He came in and he was off to a great start. In that 7-0 start, he had 17 touchdown passes and only 5 picks. But then they got into the 8th and the 9th game and the 10th game of the year. He had some interceptions. And then, unfortunately, in the 10th game of the season, he suffered a really, really bad broken leg. And he was out for the season.
Tough break.
And without him, they never recovered. They just kind of steamrolled, fell off the side of a cliff on offense in the second half of the season. And they couldn't win a game. They went from 7-0 to 7-6, including losing their bowl game to Toledo. So a season that was so promising, that looked so good, that looked like they were a real team, a real competitor in the conference, and it just died. Despite the fact that they lost their quarterback, they still finished 30th in the country in scoring. So that tells you a little bit about how good they were at the beginning of the year. They had a good running back. Desmond Reed had almost 1,000 yards. They had a leader at linebacker. Kyle Lewis had 16 tackles for a loss and 4 picks from the linebacker position. That's a lot. It's just disappointing. Falling off like that, going from 7-0 to 7-6, it's just not what you expect from a coach who's in their 10th year of the program, right? Like that
Absolutely.
falling off is something you expect from a coach that hasn't been there long, or, who was on their way out, but not a solid coach who's been there for so long. It's just perplexing.
Is he a solid coach? I don't know. You never know what you're going to get with Pitt from year to year. Some years, you hear like, oh, they're going to be great. They're going to be tough. They're going to have this hard-nosed defense because Narduzzi's a defensive coach, and I don't know. I mean, they're nothing to be scared of at this point. And what a disappointing season after going 7-0. Like you said, that might feel worse than going 3-9.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said, when after that 7-0 start, they were becoming the hot team. There's some buzz around them, but then just off a cliff. So I gave them a C- for that.
Yeah, I gave them a C. Strictly on the fact that they did start 7-0 and they got up to number 18 in the country. And yes, they lost a bunch in the second half of the season, but they lost their quarterback. So if there's, any silver lining, it's that maybe they would have not lost all those games if they'd had their quarterback, who was playing really well, who, despite missing the last, 3 games of the year, was named one of the conference freshmen of the year. So I give him a C.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, maybe future's bright there in that area. So you never know. As far as their record, they had a winning season and they were bowl eligible, where they lost to Toledo. So they get a B- for that. And for the Nitro Show final grade for the Pitt Panthers 2024 football season, they get a C.